Hi everyone, today we're going for a walk from here, my hometown of Paisley, to Loch Lomond. It's a distance of about 19 miles or 30 kilometres. Now it's 9 AM at the moment and I need to be there by 3:52 PM. And I've given myself that deadline for a reason. I'll tell you what it is in a few moments once we get out of town. Well guys, this is my first walk in probably over 3 months. Last time I did a walk was between Glasgow and NEVIS. It was 7 stages along the West Highland Way. If you haven't seen those videos, there are links below. So what's the big deal about my 3:52 PM deadline? Well, that is sunset. Here in Glasgow we are on the same latitude as Moscow, we're on the same latitude as Juneau, Alaska and Grand Prairie, Alberta. In fact, the 56 degrees north latitude line passes through the southern part of Hudson Bay in Canada. We're pretty far north. But fortunately, due to the Gulf Stream, it doesn't get bitterly cold here, it just gets cold. One thing though that we can't help is our short days during the winter. Now this is being filmed in late November. We're about just over 3 weeks from the shortest day of the year, and 3:52 PM is sunset. And what I want to do is walk the walk to Loch Lomond today, which is going to take around 6, maybe 7 hours. I want to be there before sunset because I want to show you Loch Lomond. I don't want to show it to you in the dark. Right, we've got a lot of walking to do. Less talking, more walking. This is a section of the walk, the entire walk, I was dreading. It's only about a mile long, but we're in a rural area. I'm using a road that, as you can see, doesn't have a footpath. I'm effectively walking on the shoulder of the road. Fortunately, most drivers move in a little bit just to give you extra space. It's still way too close sometimes. My mother used to say, as long as you're facing the oncoming traffic, you'll be fine. I still don't like this road. We're now approaching the town of Erskine, which is one of the new towns which were built in the 1960s and the 1970s around Glasgow and Edinburgh to try and decentralise the population. It's one of these towns where in the day, they thought everyone in the future would be using cars and no one would be walking. Therefore, we have a lack of pavement on the side of the road again. It's also one of these funny towns where a lot of buildings actually have flat roofs. Nothing wrong with a flat roof as long as you don't live in an area with a very high rainfall. These architects were paid way too much money. And of course, years later, these houses started to develop dampness problems. You don't put flat roofs on houses in areas of high rainfall. Even I know that. Right, once we get through Erskine, we'll be at the Erskine Bridge over the River CLYDE, and hopefully I'll get some good scenery for you instead of by the roadside. The Erskine Bridge has a fairly grim history. 20 years ago, they decided to build this fence on the side of the bridge. As you can see, you can't climb it, and there's a reason for that. Because unfortunately it was a prime suicide spot. That's why there's charity signs at the beginning of this walk here, just in case you're in that frame of mind. Well, the good news is, after walking next to noisy roads for the last 2 hours, we're now off the Erskine Bridge. We are now heading towards the Forth and Clyde Canal, and from here to Loch Lomond it should be relatively quiet. We just have to walk through this little tunnel under the railway line, and hopefully we can find the Forth and Clyde Canal, which is in that kind of direction somewhere. There was a signpost back there, but it's been moved around, so it could be pointing in any of 3 directions. I guess we'll find out in due course, won't we? Well, this is the Forth and Clyde Canal. It was built in the 1700s as a shortcut between the west coast of Scotland and the east coast of Scotland to save people from having to sail all the way around Scotland. Even in the best of weather, it can be a little bit treacherous. It links the River Forth near Edinburgh and the River Clyde near Glasgow. Now, I walked along here during the summer. I was heading in that direction. I'll put a link to that video below just in case you're interested. And I walked from Bowling, which is at the very end of the canal, up to Mary Hill. I'll be doing about maybe not even a quarter of that length, and then I'll be cutting off and heading onto an abandoned railway line. And we're just actually walking under the Erskine Bridge now. Okay, we've left the canal behind and we're now on the alignment of a former railway line, according to my notes on this piece of paper here. The Lanarkshire and Dumbartonshire Railway opened in 1896, closed to passenger traffic in 1951. This will take us into Dumbarton, and I think this alignment is around about 5 or 6 miles long. We're actually approaching the halfway stage and I'm feeling okay. There's also the remains of an old station up here. Let's see if we can find it. Well, that's the remains of the former Bowling railway station. Not as extensive or as interesting as I thought it would be. Well, let's keep going. Well, we're at the roughly 18 kilometres out of 30 kilometres done. We're not doing too badly so far, although the body is now trying to tell me, you know, isn't it about time you stopped? It's been some time since I've done a walk of this length, several months anyway, and the feet are sore, the legs are starting to ache a little bit, and the back's getting sore as well, but we can do this. Up ahead somewhere, in the next couple of miles, the town of Dumbarton. Since the Erskine Bridge, there's been a regular signpost pointing the way to Loch Lomond. As soon as you hit Dumbarton, the signs stop. So I had to do a bit of Zen navigating, which is you don't end up where you want to be, you end up where you need to be, whether you're aware of it or not. And I ended up down here, by this beautiful old bridge in Weir. Now, if I'd followed my map, if there had been signs, I probably would have crossed further upstream. So this was a good thing. That was Zen navigating. Right, enough of that nonsense. I have found a sign now that I've left Dumbarton, and it's in that direction, Loch Lomond, about 6 miles. Let's get walking. This is the quietest most serene part of the entire walk. There's fields on each side, there's ducks quacking in the river here. It won't last. I think we're entering an urban area in the next mile or two, but we follow this river all the way to Loch Lomond, so I can't get lost, even for me. I was doing a little time check just then. I'm not quite sure where I am, but I know when I am. I started this walk at 9 AM, and according to my stopwatch, I've been walking for 4 hours and 20 minutes, which means it's approximately 20 minutes past 1. So I know the time. Estimated time of arrival at Loch Lomond is somewhere between 3 and 4, which is actually a good thing because remember, sunset is at 3:52 today, and I'm determined to show you the view when I arrive there. The left knee is starting to get sore, but I think we're going to make it, guys. I think we're going to make it. I hope anyway. Five hours into the walk, which means it's around about 2 PM. Still got a little while to go yet, but between the clouds the sun was shining through, everything was appearing golden, and that was my reminder that the sun is actually starting to set. I can't go any faster than I can because my knee is saying, can't go any faster. Oh. Oh boy, that's been some walk. Right, we've reached Balloch. There's less than half a mile left before we get to Loch Lomond. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Well, that's a sign we're heading in the right direction. We've got the River Leven here, full of boats, and this path here just continues on. We'll see where it leads. Well guys, the plan of action was to take my shoes and socks off and walk into the waters of Loch Lomond. Cool, refreshing water. Then I remembered it's late November and most of the water in Loch Lomond is actually from meltwater from the hills around. Cool and refreshing is something which would not enter my mind if I was to go in there right now. And you can't even see the view because there's drizzle. We didn't make it with 5 hours and 50 minutes. We did pretty well to cover 30 kilometers. I never thought that I wouldn't be able to show you the view due to the weather. Although there is something pretty impressive behind you. That behind me is the paddle steamer Maid of the Loch. It was built in Glasgow, disassembled and then transported by train to this location, then reassembled. And she was launched here in 1953. Well, I made it, but it wasn't without its fair share of pain. I should sleep well tonight, I'm sure, which is a good thing because I have to be up at 5 AM for work. Why do I do these things to myself? Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, because it only encourages me. And I'll see you next time.